Guys, and welcome to another Shadow Era stream. Today is Thursday, so it's another Dev Day. Last time on Dev Day, we fixed some bugs, improved some special effects, and really made some great updates to opening packs. I asked the community what they thought would be some good quality of life improvements, and I got a few suggestions that I should work on the deck builder. So that's what we're going to take a look at today. So here's the deck builder as it exists in Shadow Era. One of the things that keeps popping up, at least for new users, is they open a pack or they get a card of the day and they say, where are my cards? The reason is that by default, it doesn't show cards that you can't use. You have to click on the show unusable, and then it would sort of show all the cards that the current hero can use. And when you get to cards that it can't use, it's kind of shaded blue. Now I thought it might be neat if we had that on by default, but instead of being integrated right in the middle of all the cards, so I can't use this, but then if I keep going, I can use some cards. It would be better if the cards that you can't use are all sorted at the end. Especially for new players, when they only have like a few cards in their library, they'll be able to see the new cards that they get and they'll understand that, oh, I can't use it. So default now is with this off, and we want to change the default to being on. So I'm going to have to open up deck builder scene. And let's take a look at some of the UI. Try to figure out where those filters are. So there's a filter panel. And just toggle it on so that we can actually see. There's that show unusable button. Let me just see if I can find it. Show unusable is there. And we'll see that it calls this on toggle change in the deck builder script. So we want this to be on by default, so let's just change that to on. And then we're going to make sure to change the code so that that's the default as well. Let's look at the deck builder code. I know sort of watching someone code might not be the most interesting, but I think as you watch what happens step by step, you can get a more of an appreciation for what it takes to develop the game and to make these incremental changes. There's the deck builder. Deck builder. One button filter. So here's all the filter buttons. Here's when you're selecting the different types. Okay. What's that called again? Deck builder on toggle change. That's unusable. It was there. Update filter card count. This is where it's actually counting the cards. Get filters from panel. We're sort of just drilling down and reviewing what happens. So this is sort of done dynamically, so it's the actual state is never changed. So it looks like it's gonna be enough here's the reset. So the default is not going to be false anymore. Sorry, that's not the one. Unusable is unusable. We want to make true. So when you reset the filters, true is going to be by default. Okay. So I say that let's just check what happens and see if that's actually going to be the default first of all. Turn this back off. Save it. And start from the beginning in the preloader scene. Deck builder, so filter, it got reset to off. Let's just check if this. It's only showing cards that I could use, so that actually didn't help any. So it wasn't quite ready yet. It got set by something else. Filter panel. So it is getting reset by something else. So I'll have to find exactly what is setting that. This filter panel here. Show unusable. Just gotta look for that variable here, show unusable. Show unusable, so toggle filter show unusable. So it's saved to a variable. See it in the code, it's called show unusable, there it is. And we find wherever that's changed. Right there, it's being reset to false. Actually, what's that? Those are fine. And so it was actually in two places. I changed this before. This is the function when you press the button, but there was actually another function called reset filters, which was obviously being called somewhere that changed it to the wrong value. Let's try that again. Hopefully it'll work this time. Let's hide this here. Save it back to the preloader and start. So it is the default. And I scroll through. So it is setting it the default, but it looks like the cards aren't being applied. That's when I turn it off, turn it back on. It is showing. So that's only a baby step. Still not there yet. Let's go back to deck. So it's not showing the proper cards, but it is setting this. The show unusable filters, filters show unusable. So this is a class called library filters, and it also has the show unusable, which is by default false. Just want to update that to true, but it just has the same starting condition as what the UI had. So now the library class, library filters class should match the UI. Here again, it's setting it false default. through. Let's just make sure. A bunch of other. Rebuilding the library. So this is also change. Yeah, that's one thing when working with a legacy code. You have to make sure you definitely check anytime a variable is used. There might be hidden stuff. And just make sure that when you're changing something, it's changed everywhere. Okay, we're starting it up again. Go back to the deck builder. It still doesn't look like it did it. Should be 880 cards. I click OK, then it does it. The starting state was not what I expected. Almost, but not quite. So I'm gonna have to check exactly. I didn't save it. That's why make sure that you save everything. I only saved one file. I didn't save deck builder. That would help. There we go. That's progress. Now it's time to do the sorting. It gets a bit strange that heroes are out at front, because if you wanted a new deck, you'd clear and then choose a hero. But in the old system, it was meant as a quick way. For example, if you had a Lance deck and you switched to, maybe you wanted foil or the alt art, you could just do that and then just change one card. But that's pretty rare. If it's going to be the default, we definitely don't want all the heroes there. You can't even, I don't think you could change. Well, you can. It's pretty smart, I guess. You can change to the same class. It's definitely helpful. If you wanted to do that, though, you could do hero. It would show all the heroes to do that. So it's not necessary that we maintain the heroes at the front of the big list. I think that's just going to be more confusing to new players. So we want to sort the heroes that are technically usable plus all the cards that are unusable at the end. Not this shaded card, we can't use it because we already have 4 in the deck. We'd want that just to go at the end. All the cards that we can't use, and then of course all these cards, there's a big section between sets that we can't use. They should all go at the end. And then only cards that we can have first, and the cards we can't use at the end. So we're gonna have to look at the code to see exactly how these things are being sorted. Now it's obviously something about the filters. reset library. Rebuild library. So let's rebuild the library when the filters change. Let me just review the code quickly. This is checking. Okay. So it's checking if it's unusable. We have the filters on. Default is show unusable is true, so it's going to be down here. So we still filter it, and we're just adding the card to the library. And I believe it's here, update positions. So here's the sorting stuff. Sort score. So this block of code is responsible for determining the order of cards. So each card has a number, and the sets sort of add on a big number so that they'll be sorted. So say card 100 of Prophecies is going to come before card 100 of Shattered Fates. Sort SF heroes before normal cards. So we don't want to do that before anymore. Sleeve and playmats at the end. Okay, so the problem is in here we don't know if it's usable or not in this function. Add card. Usable. This is going to be tricky. I'm probably going to have to try a few times to get this to work. Doing an insertion sort. Okay, so we do have if it's usable or not. Just let me find out. Deck builder. It's actually mostly set to true. Okay, so this, yep, so this would be set if it's usable or not based on the filters. Later on, I might have to add something else in here, but that should be good enough. So this is actually what we want. I believe, let's just try this. We're just poking in the dark here, but we're going to try it. If usable is false, then we're just going to artificially increase the card score so that it's further behind all the others. So it has to be. Let me see if there's any high numbers, default high numbers there. Yeah. Well, playmats are like 54, so it has to be higher than that. This is returning plus a huge number of, yeah. This is probably what we're gonna want. Bigger than that. And then These are getting down zero stars. It's the same, I believe. Yeah. So it has to be, if we want it even behind the playmats, it has to be higher than that. Then it'll get sorted at the end. Just go back to where we were. It has to be higher than this. So it's okay. 8 million or billion or whatever that is. We'll try this. Basically, I'm just saying if it's unusable, artificially increase the sort score way at the end. So the card's going to be way at the end. So the heroes, of course, technically they're usable, so they're still at the front, but let's just check. Normal cards. This is technically usable, but we have too many. No, the unusable cards are still right in there, so that change didn't seem to help any in terms of the sorting. Let me just refresh it and verify. That doesn't seem to be working. Still have all those unusable cards. So that was almost it, but it didn't quite help us there. This is where it gets added. Okay, I might want to try debugging it just to see if this is ever the case and why it's not doing what I expect. Luckily, normally you don't have to debug a lot. But sometimes if you can't follow the code, it's sometimes helpful just to set a breakpoint, run it quickly, and then see if it gets called or what is going on. Debugging is enabled. Now I could just run the game and it'll stop when it hits that breakpoint. It did hit the breakpoint. We had a card score of 21,000. It's card number 21. That's going to be a hero. No, that's Jasmine. Yep, Jasmine is the first unusable. Remember that because I already have 4 in my deck. So it should increase the card score. Card score is increased to a lot. And so this is basically inserting it in the right spot. Currently, there are only 5 cards. Score. right here. So I understand the problem. What's happening is this comparison. Basically, we insert it for the current card, but it doesn't save that anywhere, so this number is going to be forgotten next time. The next card that comes along, it's going to recalculate this, and it's not going to add that if it's unusable. Fortunately, we don't save anywhere if it's actually unusable or what the sort score was. We just kind of recalculate it each time. Which is not ideal. Wondering if I can cache that information somewhere. It's adding the card numbers, card objects. Card numbers, card objects. Why don't I just have a sort score? Let's just save the sort score. Is the easiest way to do it. So instead of recalculating card numbers, sort score, okay. And then we're going to save that. Insert it. So instead of recalculating this time, we're going to use this cached value from before, insert it, and then next time it's going to use that value. So I made sure to save it. Let's see if that helps. Heroes are still at the front. Oh, there's no Jasmine anymore. Look at that. It appears to be working because there's no unusable cards. This goes on to the next set prophecies that I can use. Let's keep scrolling a long time so that they show up at the end. Obviously, normally most people don't have this many cards in the library. There's all my playmats that I have, and there's the unusable cards. That actually worked great. And still turn it off. I don't get only show unusable. So all that's left are the heroes now. Heroes should be at the end. Because if you do want to change a hero, you're either going to clear the whole deck or you're going to change it to the hero filter and use the hero. Okay, I think heroes at the end and then we'll be done. So, sort score. Obviously there is some code for heroes here. Okay. So this is the special case for the deck. When you add it to your deck, it sorts by cost and stuff. It doesn't sort by the default that it does in the bottom library. So it would be somewhere here. Difficult. So this gets the card. I just gotta make sure that it sets it correctly if it's hero. So it does. It's gonna be a hero. So if it's a hero, maybe CNI, the card type will be hero. So what deck was is false. Because we want the heroes at the start of the deck, obviously, but not when it's in the library. So it's enough just to put it here. Card type is equal to hero. Again, we're going to add a lot to the score. The unusable starts at 8 million, 8 million, I don't know what that is. So we're going to make this 700. Wish I could put comments, but you can't. So it's 7. I think I could put space. It's too bad. It's 700 million. So this is going to be sorted at the end, but before unusable. I think that should work. Let's give it a try. Yeah, heroes are at the end. So it's looking very similar that it did before when I had show unusable off. Now it's going to show only the cards that I can use. And then I keep going forever. Playmats. And then heroes, yep. And then unusable. Perfect. So it's pretty hard to see on my account, but let me just quickly log into my stream account, that maybe you'll be able to see better. So this is the account I've been using for the Hero Spotlight. This is more of a standard account that the players might have. So you see that? It looks a lot different. Before, all these cards, I would have no idea that I had them. And I would just sort of stop there by default. And I might be wondering, hey, why can't I use... what happened to this card of the day? Where is it? Or I opened a pack. I got only 10 cards. I have received a lot of support requests like that. So at least now, by default, they're going to be at the back. So they won't be wondering, where is that card? Of course, you can't add it to your deck, but that'll probably be, why can't I add this to my deck? But that's another problem for another day. Maybe it should pop up a message explaining. That's okay. They also might say, oh, I can use this card. That looks good. Let me add that to my deck. Or like, let me add that to my deck. What happened to my deck? But I think it's better overall, the way it is now. So that was one thing. Let me go back to the main account. Let's just check off the default. Let's check that off and continue on. It took 35 minutes, but I think it's very worthwhile, especially for new players. But of course, some of the veteran players have been talking about the filters again, but they want more functionality of the filters. If you go to shadowera.com, now there's this new button, Deck. This is the web deck builder. So it kind of works the same way. You add a hero to your deck. It'll show you what cards you can use. You can add them to your deck. Click this button and it'll tell you what cards are in your deck, approximately how much it's going to cost you. You could even save it and it will give you the deck code and you can import it in the game. But in one area where it exceeds the in-game deck builder is the search functionality. For example, search for Seek. It will give me any cards that have the Seek keyword in them. So it's a full text search, basically, of all the ability text. One thing that's not good about the deck builder is you kind of need a magnifying glass. There's no way to zoom in on the cards, but that's all right. Overall, it's a great tool. I believe it was Gundorian that worked on this. So we want to add full text search to the in-game filters. Right now, if I 880 cards, but if I search for Seek, it's only going to give me 3 cards. Those 3 cards are Reka and Alt Art, which is currently the same, but eventually it'll change. And of course, Soul Seeker. So it's just searching the card titles, not the actual abilities. We want to change that search functionality. So again, that's in the deck builder. You have to find out how it's searching, how it's filtering these cards. I think it was rebuild library. There's this check card to see if it's filtered. So shadow filtered cards. So this looks like the main filter that it's used. It passes on all the GUI settings. Let's go there. So there we go. This is how it's filtering cards. So the search is what we want. And basically here's what controls the search. Card name. So it's only checking the card name. We want to somehow add in the card ability. Where are we actually getting that card name from? Right here, there's a name cache. If it's not cached, then we're gonna get all the info. So we actually create the card class. The card name is in class itself. So each card in Shadowera has separate code for it that sort of drives the card. So for example, 21 is Jasmine. So there it is, card name. Has the rarity, who it's usable, stuff like attack, max health. So this is the basic data, and that's set in all of the cards. So you notice we don't actually have in the code anywhere the full ability text. It's just written in code what it actually does. Deck Builder does have all that info. It loads it in from a JSON file. So instead of going through like 800 classes and typing in the class file, I think I'm going to use that JSON. And then maybe in the future, all of this stuff could potentially come from the JSON and you wouldn't have to update it. But it's super helpful when coding the abilities that all this stuff is right there, that it's easily available. And I also put it in the comments straight from the Excel sheet, what it is and also what it was in the previous version. Just when updating the code, it's easier to see. Obviously, Jasmine got changed a bit. Less attack, higher health than what it was before. The JSON file, I went ahead and put it in Unity already. If you want to load a file from Unity, it goes in the streaming assets directory. It's a special directory. It just means that it's copied to the device, whether it be iOS or Android, in a way that you can access it by file name. So this is secards 411.json. 411 is not the info, it's the version 4.11. Just a coincidence. And open it up and you'll see all the cards are here. ID, name, and ability. This file is about 300K. It sounds like a lot because there's a lot of text, but I mean 300K is like one image pretty much. So overall, it's not going to be that big of a deal to add it to the game. We do have to process it. Again, just use it as text. We have to load it in. We have to cache it. And then we have to pick out this ability text and save it, just like how we save the names. Let's go back to the code and get on it. So, where was that? That was in the deck builder. The filter, oh, that was in Shadowware card, was the filter. Right in here. So card name, we're gonna have to load the card ability. And then we're gonna set it in here somehow. This doesn't exist yet, but I'll just put it in here. It's gonna be a string. And once it's cached, it's not in this cache. I don't really have a way to get it. That's okay, because all the cards are cached. If you look at this, let's go to definition. Name cache. We're going to do the exact same thing, but it's going to be ability cache. Basically, wherever there's a name cache, we're going to make an ability cache. So here we clear it. We also want to clear ability cache. So here's the special function that's actually doing all this data. Right now it's going through each card. These are called the crystals cards, the prophecy cards. Currently it is creating the card class and then picking out all the information that was in there. For example, it picks out all this information. But we have a JSON file. We could actually load all this from the JSON. We don't have to create the class anymore if we have it. I'm just gonna leave that for now. I'm just gonna not change everything, but just add something for now. What we want to do is get that JSON file. So in Unity, streaming asset path. On each platform, that's just going to be the magic path that points to that streaming assets folder. And what was it called? It was called sccards.411.json. C# lets you do simple things like this. Just going to read all the text from the path, put it into a file. Then this is going to be just raw text. So what we have to do is parse the JSON, make it into a data structure. How would we do that? Well, the easiest way, if you can't remember how to do something, is look for it in your project and see how it's done before. I know I've done it at least a few times. Here's an example. So mini.json.decode makes an array list. You can loop through it, and you get hash tables. Easy enough. Copy that. Make a comment to just say what we're doing here. This does mean that I'll have to update this JSON when any of the card text is changed. But right now it's only going to affect the search, so it's not that critical. That's why I don't want to change all of this. I just sort of want to add just the full text search for now anyways. I'm going to call the array all cards, code the cards, not Jason. Not Jason, but JSON. Okay, so we got the all cards. It's decoded to JSON. You can loop through this array. A hash table. I think it's as simple as that. Is that was there's a hash table, and then you just do stuff like that. Okay. So the actual abilities. Problem is that the actual JSON is coded like this. It's gonna give a lot of hash tables with IDs and then abilities. What we want is a hash table. Dictionary. Similar, but abilities. I'm just picking out exactly what I want. So I'm gonna. The key is gonna be this. What's it called? ID. ID. So it's gonna say this ID. Just say this. So this is gonna be going to be like what's in the dictionary. It's going to look like this. And this hash table is going to contain ID. It's going to contain everything else. But what we want is this ability. Card, the index of ID. This is just saving this as a quick lookup. So I have to make sure that this true. This is kind of the boring part, but you'll see once it's done. Unfortunately, it takes a few minutes to kind of build this before you'll see any results. A lot of the other stuff is more interactive, probably more entertaining. This is just raw coding, unfortunately. So this is just building up this card ability so that I can look it up easier. I don't have to loop through each time. So this is a number and a card set. To convert that into something like SE00, remember I have a utility function. Sure what it's called. And string paddle 0, so turns a string paddle 0 is 3. Oh, perfect. So prefix view the SE. I is the card number. That's the index to use here. So cache.add. Then it's going to be card index. Index. And ability index. I think that's all I need. It's adding the number, adding card abilities, which is this. That should be it, I hope. Yes. So SC, process X. Let's see, heroes. Don't think prophecy heroes are actually in the cards. EX201, let's see. I don't think it's actually there. Yeah, it doesn't have the alt heroes in this list because the data is the same as the normal heroes. Does it matter? Like, technically, do I care if it returns alt heroes for the full text search? Do I? Let's just call it this. It's not commented very well, so I understand this is alt heroes. Do I kind of make it minus 200? So that's going to be SE1. Could do that. Yep, that should be fine. It's F cards. Let's have heroes. Lost Williams. So again, So all heroes, they have an internal number of 301 to 310, but those are actually all cards. SF. The normal SF range. I think that is it. So that's ability cache. Now I forget if I actually added that to the search. Let's go back. It's the cache. Should all be cached now. Let's just go back. Okay, so here is this is okay. Filter cards, definitely filter cards. Yeah, so I didn't actually use this card ability. So it is by default going to be cached, but if in some case you like rush to the deck builder and it's not doing it because it doesn't do it straight away, it might take a second or two, then it's just not gonna be able to search. That's fine. So here we go. So this is where it performs the search. So currently it checks the card name. If it contains the string false, return false. It has to be that and the ability. Rest of that junk. So if both the card name doesn't contain that and the ability doesn't contain it, then false, don't show it. That should be all that's required. I'm like 75% confident that this will work on the first try. I'm not sure if it'll parse the JSON correctly. I think there's something at the end of the JSON that might give an error. Forgot to check. We'll see. Deck builder. Filter, 880 cards. What if I search for Seek? Just 3 cards. Nope. Didn't even search the abilities. So let's see what's going on. So many things could have gone wrong. It could have been loading the JSON. I forget where I did that. Your cache usable by data. What is that actually called? It's at the login screen that it starts that. As soon as I get the login screen, then it's going to start this. So it starts in the background, starts running on this. Ability cache. Ability cache is adding it. So I'm going to just go to breakpoint here. We'll step through it. And see what's going on. Attach. Maybe. Okay, breakpoint is active. Let's start her up and see what happens. So yeah, For as soon as we got to the login screen, it's calling this. We're doing this in the background. So JSON file name. File name, so this is the path on my computer that looks correct. Cards JSON, yep, got the JSON. So decode all cards. Yep, 786. That's far short of 880. There's only 786. Check that again. Why is there? Yeah, only 786. So there are definitely cards missing because, like, cards that are incomplete. Wonder if it's the deck builder that's lying, that it's including the cards that are not finished yet in the campaign set. I wonder if some cards are missing here. I think so. SE1 200. Missing the alt heroes, so that's 30 extra cards. EX, it has the legendaries. Shattered Fates. There's the Shattered Fates. Lost Lands should have. Does have all the new ones, I'm sure. Definitely has all the new Lost Lands, and then campaign doesn't have cards that aren't done yet. But like 100 different of the deck builders. I'll think about that later. Anyways, it is getting everything in all cards if I look into it. Yep. ID is SC001. Ability text is there. Okay. There's some card abilities. Card. Card picks up only that card. Card ID. SC001. Card ability. Okay, that seems to be correct. Card abilities has this. Yep, that looks exactly what I want. So I'll put a breakpoint here so that we could just skip over that loop. Right there is the problem. I actually had a null value because, what I mentioned before, this part, there is like an empty one at the very end. So that caused an error, and it caused all this stuff not to be run. So error is just gonna break out. What I have to do make sure that's valid first, and then continue. So now I'm really confident that it might work. And check for errors. Given key was not present in the dictionary. I had an error here. Card abilities, this index did not exist. So now's the time. So it is running it at least, but it's just not found. So for some reason, did not find it. Stop this, quickly check what's going on. So close, but sometimes it's just one small thing that stops everything from working. Ready, let's play. So we're here. Ability index SE001. Card abilities SE001. It should definitely be there. It is there. It's 201 that is not there. And I remember why. SE200 is there. What is SE201, you might be asking? "201 is Corrupted Angel." She makes an appearance in the campaigns. 300. Dummy card, okay. So it's just a problem that if the JSON doesn't have it, give an error. So let's just quickly make check. It's not there. Can't search. Just gonna quickly replace all these with the new and improved code. Important to do error checking. Okay, step by step, we're getting there. Just have to remind myself that it's worth it because people are going to be able to do full text searches in the filter. So we do have an error again. Ability cache already had. So why would it? Oh, of course it's not just I. It's I plus whatever. We are so close. So wait. Did that wrong? It goes here. Because you don't want to re-add it as number 1, that was taken by the crystal set, so we add this magic number 10,000. Got to do that. Okay, can anything else possibly go wrong? Let's see. It's gonna be worth it to finally be able to search for Seek. So we didn't get any errors. So this is 880, which is like 100 more cards than I have on a JSON. 20 cards! It's doing it! We actually did it! All the cards with Seek. Now, come on. Let's do a full text search. Of course, if you wanted to search for like any of this stuff, that's already built in, so we don't need to search that. That would be like ally, then you could search for the subtype. So we don't need to include that in the search. Cost. One thing that they had was attack. Maybe you want to search for an ally with 2 attack or health. It's not. I don't know. I don't feel like doing that right now, so we're not going to do that. But just the full text search is a huge step in the right direction. Check that off. Full text search. Nicely done. It has the unusable at the end by default. Okay, hope people appreciate all this trial and error coding I'm doing. Sometimes that's what you're reduced to, but systematic. I'll call it systematic coding. How about that? It sounds better than trial and error. Okay, things are looking good. We have a bit of time. One sort of bug that somebody mentioned was importing a deck. Oh, there was one big feature, and I probably won't have time for it, but importing a deck when you don't have all the cards sort of gives a list of what cards you're missing, but it only gives you like the first 2 cards you're missing. And there should be like a button to be able to buy it from the merchant easily. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that in the available time, but I should be able to at least improve it a bit. So why don't we just set this up? We're going to export a current deck. Gives you a code. Write that down. And then let's say I sold all my Jasmines. I didn't have any Jasmines left, or I sold my Ultimates. Merchant. I should mention that it automatically works in the merchant now too, because it uses, it wasn't just, it was in the Shadowrun card class, not in the deck builder class. So it does work here too. You get all the cards that have Seek in them. Now I'm looking for Jazz. I sell 6. I can't sell it because I have it in my deck. It's gonna give me 4 still. I have to load a different deck. Or remove it. And I'm gonna sell these 3 cards. And then just add some other dummy cards. So I just did that so that I could actually sell those cards. Sell cards. Foil, that's fine. gonna be able to get those back. What else? Blockchain. By default, it still use my blockchain. I can't sell that easily. I guess that's not gonna work. I'll still be missing at least 3 Aldens. Okay, so just get some my one blockchain. I'm just setting up the case so that I can demonstrate what's happening currently. Now when I go to import that thing that I saved, 8 cards were missing. Jasmine, Alden, ... So that's not exactly helpful, is it? Well, it tells you that 8 cards were missing, and it gives you some names, but like, what am I gonna do? Write it down? And like, I don't know exactly what I'm missing. It's not very easy to use. Suggestion, of course, would be to list out all the cards that you're missing, the number that you're missing. Have a like buy all button. You could buy them all for the merchant, and then make the deck active. Probably won't have time to do all of that, but I can at least improve the message as a first step. It's going to be import. Need this anymore. It's going to be in the deck builder. Maybe something like on button import. So import player deck. So this is going to get the data, and that sort of passes it. This is going to be called, let's see, deck it's going to be called. So if you don't have the hero, it's just going to display a message. It'll log all the missing cards. Here's where it's just giving the ... which is not helpful. And if it's missing, it's gonna just show that. So this is the code that we want to change. Right now it's just kind of making it in a string. I mean, it's just one function that's doing it, so we could do a lot better than that. We could do like 4 times Jasmine, 3 times whatever. That's gonna be a huge step in the right direction. You could also save the actual card numbers instead of getting the card name, which is okay. I mean, we can get that anytime, but we could, if we save the card number, then later on we could use that to get the merchant data, like the costs of the card. Okay, so that's a plan of attack, is to change it from just a string missing cards. We're gonna have a list of missing cards. Instead of a list, we're gonna have a dictionary. Dictionary of int for the card number, int for the count that we're missing. It's about 8 ints. I'll just comment it so that we know exactly it is. If we do 3 times, it doesn't do the comment. want to like do that. I want to leave a comment. Yeah. No, just leave a comment. Anyways, instead of that missing card string, it just gets added. Favorite apply. So don't leave this. Do that. No? I don't know what happened to that. Why isn't that? Oh, maybe it was connected before. Anyways, don't need it. What we're gonna do is we're gonna check that missing cards. Missing cards contains that key already. Original substitute code. Original. So if it contains that, we're going to increase the count. Otherwise, we're gonna add it. Missing one of those cards. Each time we're missing a card. So what this function does is say you saved a Jasmine and you don't have a Jasmine, but you have the foil Jasmine, then it will actually return the foil Jasmine and use that in your deck. But if it returns 0, that means that we did not find that card. Like doesn't have the original, doesn't have the foil version. So we want to add that to the missing cards list. Increase the total count. So missing cards. This used to be a text. So now instead of just Jasmine, blah blah blah, format it nicely. Missing. Get card name is what it was. Okay, so over some cards. missing cards, if it only has one, take the one, we don't need a 1. Otherwise, we're gonna put like otherwise we're gonna put like a 2x. We're gonna add this, get card name, get yours. Wait. Okay, it's a dictionary. The key is not the key. I is the key. It's the cards dot get value. Wait, we're doing this the wrong way. You know what? I'm gonna look up this for you. It's been a while since I've done this. Dictionaries. Bars. Something like this. Yes. Yeah, I don't know why, but I can never remember the syntax for each. So then you could do a missing card. What's the value of the count? The value of the count is only 1. Key is the card number. That's just gonna display like, yeah. One. It's more than we want to say. It's like 4x. Then the card. I think that's it. I think. Just run it. So we'll run it and try to import it and see if we get a more helpful message. Okay, let's import that again. See? Look at that. We're missing 4 times Jasmine Rose Cup, 2 times Alden the Brave, 2 times Priest of the Light. Already, that is a huge improvement. Cards are missing. That's huge. Just like that, that's huge, yeah. So what we want to do now is provide the option of buying these cards. So we have the data, the merchant, for how much each card costs. We have functions that we can call to buy each card. Maybe if we put in brackets how much it costs. Have a button all. Okay. I know the header menu. It's the OK panel. I know there's another OK or cancel panel. That should give you like two options. Yep, OK or cancel. What is that? I could use OK or cancel. Yeah. So it could have that, and then it could have the prompt buy now for whatever gold. OK or cancel. So we can use OK cancel. Now the trick is, where do I get that information? How much each of these cards cost? Obviously, it's something in the merchant. Merchant displays this data. Like buy card, buy manager. Yeah, so something like related to this anyway. Price. There we go, merchant price for that. There we go. Okay. Just to verify that this is actually. I'm not sure if this is only loaded when you go to the merchant, or is this loaded before then? Available even in the deck builder. Let's check out this merchant price. This is when it's getting set. Update merchant inventory. Calls the server and gets the response with all the current prices. Update merchant inventory. Okay, so it looks like, yep, when you log in, it updates the merchant inventory. And also whenever you go to the merchant, it'll update. That's okay. You kind of also need to do it on login refresh. Because maybe you logged in 2 days ago and you kept the app open and you just come back to it and it hasn't been updated in a long time. There is login refresh. So let me just see where exactly that was in login. Login, it's at the very end of some processing, then it does it. Login refresh. Process everything. Update. So it refreshes the login every 15 minutes or something like that. So it's going to make sure that the merchant inventory is up to date. So that'll be available for the deck builder. I already forgot what it was called. Buy manager, what am I looking for? Merchant price. Merchant price and the card number. Okay, let's add that. Why is it already? Why is it? That just means if you get the price for a foil, it'll return the normal price. Because you're not going to be buying foils from merchant. You can't. Get the price. Buying one card. Price is brackets. It's fine. Buying multiple cards. Versus how many cards are missing? Okay. Just showing the price right now. Obviously, you can't buy it yet, but that's another step in the right direction. We'll also need a total price and check if they have that much gold. Whoa, she's pretty expensive. That's a lot of gold. Luckily, I have enough. Oh, it seems to be working. All of them is 860. Is that right? Let me check. 2 Aldens is 860. Merchant. Yep, one is 430, 2 is 860. That seems expensive or uncommon. Popular cards were actually raised in price. Okay, so that part's working. Let us get a total price. So this will add up the price each time. So if it's greater than the gold have, yeah. If it's more than the gold we have, you can't buy it. Can't buy it. Buy it. Yeah. Can buy it. Okay, cancel. Cancel. It's actually not gonna be okay, it's gonna bind this thing. If you cancel, it's gonna be okay, which this is it. Let's just check out. Okay. Dismiss it. That's the function that we need on buy missing. So in both cases we want to display it cost. cost. It's like 8,000 gold. So if it's more than we have, I'm just gonna say something else. I shortly don't have enough gold. Otherwise, I'm gonna have a message like buy now for merchant. And then this magic function will somehow do it. I don't know how yet. It's magic, but it will. Also have to copy this code just to make sure it's doing the face that I need. So close like any import dialog boxes or whatever. So, okay, got that part. This is pretty important. Like if they click on it too quickly, they're gonna waste all the gold. That's why sometimes you make an input delay, like maybe 5 seconds. Let's try that. Something happened. Cut off. Why is this place 4 times Jasmine? Check that code. Message to get added to. Too long? Try that again. Okay, cancel panel. Yeah, so all the text is there, just gets cut off in this panel. It like doesn't grow like it should. As far as I know, the OK panel does grow. Best fit actually means that it shrinks the text in size. Let me do this test. Copy all this text. Hide this. Okay, panel. Obviously, it's bigger. Yeah, so the text shrinks rather than making the panel actually. It's a little bit of an unexpected challenge. How would I make the panel actually grow with the text? Can do it. I can also make this text best fit. It's gonna be teeny tiny. It's not really what I want. I have to go into design mode. That was in the header menu. So both the OK and OK cancel, I really would like it if it would expand with the text. Right now it's a fixed size. The panel. This thing sort of has a black, so it's just making the background black, and then the actual panel thing is on the bottom. So this is the part that I want to be able to make bigger according to the size of the text. If I could do this content size fitter, which means if there's huge text, it should grow. That'll make the text grow, but I also want the panel to grow. Well, this is actually code that I used. Same thing, but it checks the child. Now I want the text. Don't care about the image. Ignore the image. Here we go, and then add on the size of the 50,000. Oh, I'm actually impressed that I did that. Sometimes things work out, don't they? You have just a little bit of a text, it's gonna be that big. Pretty good. Update. So leave this blank. So that's the OK panel. I have to do the same thing. No, that's OK cancel. I should do the same thing. The OK panel. So content size fitter on the text. Okay. Content size fitter. Panel. And the image. So that's extra. Yep, looks like it works. Perfect, perfect, perfect. The default blank. Like, okay. So, okay, Pano grows. Cancel grows. That's actually a huge update for the game. Good. Look better. Save it. Sorry, total cost 3,000. File cards now from the merchant. That does sound like a good idea, doesn't it? Of course, it didn't actually buy the cards. How do we buy cards? Let's run the buy manager. So now we have buy cards. Quality will pop up. And then buy, it's going to start this buy card. So it yields, buys the card number quantity. It can't be any easier than that. So this is the scary part. You're actually putting in code. Go and buy all the different cards. That just means contacting server needs to be code key. Run in sequence with a delay. This is the code. Take off that message. Okay. So the only problem here is that we don't save this list of missing cards. Perhaps instead of just having it here, perhaps it's a variable outside of this function. And just clear it here. That variable at the top that's available in the whole deck builder. Missing cards. Function was loop over all of our missing cards and buy them. So this is the important thing. number quantity. So the key is card number value quantity. That's about it. So you click OK to buy. It's gonna say contacting the server, buy card, buy card, buy card, buy card, buy card. Just go to this function first of all, buy card. Fortunately, it's going to show these messages by default. Don't want it to show this 10 times, right? Gonna have to add something to this, like suppress messages. Well, it's false. This is just if there's an error, you probably should say, okay, like failed to contact server. Otherwise, if it went through okay, suppress messages, so we're not going to show that. Suppress messages. Cards have been purchased, but really it's a purchase, but it doesn't make them in your deck. Kind of have to call this again. So 13 slot. We'd have to save this like missing cards here, missing cards slot. Slot is always going to be 2 because it's important. -1, so we're just going to save that. Missing cards here, missing cards slot. That way we can just call this again. Actually, this card from it's gonna be one minute. I just call on for complete. Yeah, just have to call it. I didn't even have to say that. I just called it again. And it'll redo it. So I save it and redo it. For now, I don't have to say that. I'll say it. Just say it's been aborted. Okay, are you ready to test this? If this works at the very end of the stream, then we have completed a very major feature. that people should be happy about. Okay, ready for this import. So 3380 gold. It's still so it's missing. So did it buy it? I think it bought it. I need to update my deck. Maybe it did refresh my library or something when I buy it from the merchant. Let's just log in again and see if they were actually bought. I think there's some callback that the merchant has. Yep, their cards are actually bought. There's Jasmine. Now when I import, yep, it works. So it just wasn't refreshing the library properly. Let me go back and check what the merchant does. Buys card and then it draws card. So I'm gonna buy a card, take away the money, yeah, so it's gonna be something same like when I start. Maybe something like rebuild library or something. This is what I'll need. Build library. Problem is, I'll sell my cards again. So I'll just put this in quick. Rebuild library. Library. And then rebuild library. And then import again. That means I have to go and sell my Jasmines again. Just gonna mix up two of them. Let me see. We got the deck. What am I missing? Two Jasmines, two Aldens. Buy all cards now from the merchant? Yes, please. There we have it. That's amazing. We got our new deck with the Jasmines, the Aldens. We did it! That is a great feature. I hope everyone appreciates the amount of work that I put into that. And I hope you enjoy that new feature. So that's going to be it for today. Thanks for watching, everybody. And be sure to let me know in the forums, in the comments, Telegram, Discord. If you have any other features, any other quality of life improvements that you'd like me to work on next. Thanks a lot. Bye.